Italy at Monza as well. However, one more race to come here in Spain. And the temperature is a little lower than it was yesterday, although actually peak temperature later on in the day is expected to get to about 25, 26, which will be hotter than Friday. The grid already set from qualifying that happened earlier on in the weekend. It's Johnny Palmer and Peter Mackay looking after the Alpine ELF Europa Cup again. And one thing we were treated to, PMAC, is battling up and down the order, as I say, particularly, well, not necessarily for Charles Roussanne, but the three behind. And there was also some contentious issue as well because of a 5-second penalty after some contact. So it wasn't without controversy yesterday.
No, it wasn't without controversy, that's for sure. But it was really a champion's drive from Charles Roussanne. 5th win of the season, 5 out of 7 for that very impressive young man, who also leads the junior standings, and he'll be hoping to double up and leave Barcelona with a sizable championship advantage. There's just 2 race meetings left, one at Paul Ricard and then the season finale at Monza. This Alpine A110 Cup, really a fantastic formula. Brilliant machine. I mean, the road car is hugely lauded and praised by the world's motoring press. It's a 5-star car by many motoring publications, but this race version, it takes a lot from the street car, but up to the power. Power is up to 300 horsepower, and the biggest difference, I think, is the gearbox. It's a 6-speed sequential race gearbox, so it takes away the road car's dual clutch system, proper race gearbox, and of course race suspension as well. But it's a wonderful package. The bodywork of the car is exactly the same as the road car, and makes for fantastic motor racing and a fantastic formula for young drivers to prove themselves to potential career paths in sports cars in the future. One
of the names I meant to mention yesterday, but we didn't get a chance at the end, is Lily Wadu, who I think I first encountered in this championship earlier on in her career. She spent possibly some or all of 2020, but certainly a full season in 2021 in the Alpine ELF Europa Cup, before then going on into proper sports car racing. I mean, LMP2 level in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and that is potentially where people can springboard towards. We talked about them being, they are sports cars, they're sort of mini sports cars, and it's not a junior category, although or rather it's not a wholly a junior category, but there are junior drivers within it. And no doubt, if they're not already realising that the seat numbers in Formula One are finite, the opportunity within sports car racing can be massive if you're starting from here.
It's a brilliant format, of course, doing it on slick tyres as well, slick Michelin tyres. And for those, for the competitors, they've got proper cash to compete for. There's prizes for each race, half of it paid in cash, half of it paid in parts vouchers, which anybody who's been racing will know it's very important to have that in your back pocket.
Certainly so, yes, to take you to the next level and beyond. Charles Roussanne then made it 4 wins in a row yesterday, and of the 7 races we've had so far, he's managed to win 5 of them, starting from pole position again with the time of a 1:51.3, but alongside is Enzo Guaracci, who did prove to be rather swift in the race, just lost touch with Roussanne fairly early on, and Charles was able to get away. But Guaracci more concerned with people like Leo José, who starts from 3rd position, and Lucas Papin in the 4 and the 8 cars, respectively, on the second row. Then it's Romain Monti and Enzo Carvalho ahead of Alexandre Gadois and Sami Dari in the number 36 VPS racing car. Onward we go to what should be Florian Kerubel, and it is indeed. Philippe Bourgeois has qualified much better than yesterday. He's quite a bit ahead of the other gentleman runners in 10th place. Then it's Thibaut Bossy, so Bossy runs in the Challenger division ahead of Matteo Nomblot, and then Clement Burley, Anthony Fournier, another gentleman runner, Gosset Redest and Frédéric de Brabant. De Brabant and Fournier had a cracking run yesterday, and Fournier coming out as the 2nd place finisher in the gentleman division. And if my calculations are correct, there should be 4 more cars, because on the 9th row, it'll be Pierre-Laurent Figuer, Laurent Richard in 18th position. Alain Jacono and Franck Roussel will complete a 20-car lineup. They all appeared to be there on the grid from our lofty commentary position. Glorious conditions once again. There is a cloud in the sky, but it's basically that one over there, and otherwise blue entirely above this cracking circuit, which has existed since 1991. The Grand Prix actually switched in 91 after a few years at Jerez to here, and it's been here in Spain, I think, ever since, pretty much. So this venue is also one of those tracks that to be able to access is pretty easy, because we're just a short drive away from Barcelona city centre, effectively. There's also a railway line at the back, which I love, being a train fan. The fact that you can get here by other transport as well, if necessary. There are other places, or the Grand Prix venues, that are in the middle of nowhere, but I just love the fact that here you could do a bit of racing, then you could actually go into town and have a nice meal and a few drinkies.
Well, speaking of, I went to watch the MotoGP here about 6 years ago with my uncle and cousin, and we stayed right in the middle, and we had 1 or 2 drinkies, and then and a bit of dinner. Lovely, enjoyed Barcelona city, and then hopped on the train, main station, straight out to Montmeló, and it's about a 10-minute walk, and you're in the circuit.
I know.
It's ideal.
Superb.
It's just a wonderful place to come. Lots of different viewing opportunities, particularly for a meeting like this. If you've got plenty of space to roam around, you can go and see different parts of the circuit. And this circuit, I think, Johnny, it tests every part of a race car, and it's a real compromise on setup, because you've got a very long start-finish straight, but then you've got other parts of the circuit which are big, high load. And in a downforce car, which these cars definitely are not, in a downforce car, you know, you're having to be really quite particular with the setup. But here with the Alpines, it really does put every aspect of the car to the test. Braking, high speed, low speed, it's got a bit of everything. No wonder it's so popular here for testing in the wintertime as well.
Yes, because the climate is pretty good, but also, as you say, it's a test of your car, regardless of how you may want it set up in a variety of places. Turn 4, which is the Repsol curve, has been compared to the Parabolica at Monza, for instance. There are other corners as well that are very similar to famous places elsewhere around the globe, in fact. It's 25 minutes, this race, just as yesterday, plus the extra lap at the end, and that could make it 25.5 minutes. It could make it closer to 27, 28 minutes, in fact. So you'll need to have made sure that you've put the relevant amount of fuel into these cars as well. And the rolling start makes things very interesting heading down to that first corner, because even though we are moving at the start, you can get away at different velocities. And actually, Roussanne nearly lost the lead yesterday. We've got one on the grass already, though, heading off the main straight and towards the first corner where the track drops away. Roussanne in that blue nose with the white detailing, the green door mirrors, and he's gone well out wide to try and prevent Guarasci from turning in where he wants to. And Roussanne, that did actually work for him, where almost it didn't yesterday. There are 1 or 2 going wide again, and they have to take to the escape road and cannot rejoin until now, which is partway round turn 3. But everybody is safely through so far, and it will be Charles Roussanne to lead ahead of Guarasci, who's got his elbows out because he's trying to keep at least 2 cars behind. I'm also interested in how Philippe Bourgeois has done from his lofty starting position in the gentleman class, much further ahead of Anthony Fournier and Frédéric de Brabant, the 2 that he's going to principally be fighting for the honours within the gentleman category. Guarasci under pressure. In fact, I think he's possibly lost that place. He's lost 2, and we almost had 1 car arriving at 6, 7 and 8 on the grass again there, because that is Papa and Leo Jousset getting to know each other again Saturday morning after they had a real fight for most of yesterday as well. The 08 car then is Papa to your right, 04 is Jousset, and practically everybody else in 4th position, PMAC.
Around the outside then at La Caixa, but not quite able to do it, was Leo Jousset as Papa cuts back in the black and gold Comedigar Racing Team car, and battling side by side still now through turn 12 and up towards the fast turn 13, and this is just Christmas come early for Charles Roussanne as they battle away, and up the inside the Valentino Rossi move there, the penultimate corner early, I know, but there goes Leo Jousset up into second, and we've got a car stopped. It's car 36, that's Sami Dari at La Caixa. the medical cars has gone past him, but our leader's coming over the start and finish line now. Charles Roussanne is in the groove once again, and Leo José is trying to break away from Enzo Guaracci in third place.
It was only the medical car going by which made me realise Sami Dari was facing entirely the wrong way, so the 18-year-old's going to have to be careful as he does a three-point turn to resume. Dream start, as you said, 2.1 seconds for Charles Roussanne at the end of the first lap. Yesterday we did 15 laps within the 25 minutes allocated. As the 04 car reaches Repsol corner for the second time, José also clear in second place from Enzo Guaracci. So at the start of the race, Charles Roussanne in the blue and white, nearest the pit wall. Didn't get away particularly well. Guaracci slightly better. I'm trying to work out who that was with two wheels on the grass as they headed underneath the starting gantry. It was a little bit untidy behind. It was an all-black car that kicked up the dust, but thankfully was able to get back to the hard stuff before any big moment. Guaracci in the 136 then, in that cream-coloured car, to Roussanne's right as we look at it, and Guaracci then down towards the first corner was able to fend off the two behind briefly, but that was how Lucas Papin and Leo José had a slightly better run then through those sweepers at turns 1, 2 and 3. And the all-black car of Papin slipping back in the early stages of the race. Papin is even further back though now, but José worked his way through and did get ahead of Enzo Guaracci. So José second in the championship, now second on the road, and didn't want to mess about there because he's staring at a 2-second gap already, wants to try and whittle that down as early as possible.
So over the line they come in, still 2.1 seconds the gap, but a little bit snipped out of it by Leo José, who's just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:52.066. Meanwhile, further back, number 8 car going up the inside of the 85 there. That's Papin up the inside of Thibaut Bossy, and Bossy, your leader in the Challenger class, 4th overall at the moment. That's a good run as well. Meanwhile, the car number 2, Florian Carublin, in 8th overall, battling away with Enzo Carvalho side by side around turn 3, and they've got such a wonderful body language to them, these Alpines. They pitch and they flex, but they're not quite as much as the road car. They've got stiffer suspension than the road car, but they still have a wonderful character to them.
Yeah, I always enjoy seeing a road-based car moving around on the racetrack once it's put into race trim. And the various race suspension and racing tyres helping in their aggression on racetrack. 4 all arriving together at 6, 7 and 8 and taking a variety of different lines, which works for some and not for others. The blind right-hander at turn 9, which is Campsa corner. We'll see one car very wide indeed. That's the 44 of Alexandre Gadouin. This is important because it's for second place within the Challenger category. Not spoken a great deal about Thibaut Bossy, who started a long way down. He's up to 4th already to lead the Challenger division and actually latch onto the back of Enzo Guaracci to pressurise the third place junior car. 85, there he is there in the red and black of the Bossy colours. And he has brought with him Alexandre Gadouin as well. So was that Bossy losing positions on this lap, or Gadouin gaining an awful lot? Guaracci's going to be 3rd at the end of the lap. And yes, it was this incident here which has really jumbled the order and brought Gadouin, even though he was way out wide coming out of turn 9, up towards the leading pack, and Gadouin gained about 3 places.
Gadouin is in the Challenger class as well, 4th and 5th overall, and this is your battle for the lead then between Thibaut Bossy in the red and black machine, and then the black and gold Comme Ledogar Racing Team car of Alexandre Gadouin, who's ahead of his teammate Lucas Papin, who's in the juniors. So those 2 black and gold machines look right fighting at the sharp end. But the leading 3, they're kind of in their own rhythm right now. But Gadouin has a little look up the inside coming into Repsol, but can't quite get it done. He'll have to try and figure something else out, but runs a little bit wide as as Bossy gets the power down a little bit better, gets the traction better. But here comes Papin at the inside of his teammate as they come down through the very tight turn 5, one of the tightest corners on the circuit. And I think Papin has got the move done. Yes, he has. So Papin has gone past his teammate, and Gadouin is going to lose 2 here, because here comes number 10, Romain Monti, who shoves Gadwa out onto the gravel. He has a big moment and back onto terra firma, but it's all happening there in that battle from 4th on down.
Yeah, something's going to give there, and it almost did for Thibaut Bossy, in fact. If you catch sight of Bossy's rear bumper in a very kind of touring car way, it's just starting to peel away and flap in the breeze because of earlier contact. Touch wide there at turn 9 as well, but Gadwa definitely lost time in amongst all of that. He's being monstered now by Enzo Cavalido and Florian Caruble as well. Cavalido in the 72 with the yellow door panels. 17.5 minutes still to go, but Gadwa in the 44 tried to get into the apex. There was a car there, and the two of them making contact actually put Gadwa into the gravel trap, as you described, P-Mac, and that's lost him more time. So he's slipped behind Lucas Papin now, and Thibaut Bossy has that cushion of a junior car in behind. But it might be that the 08 gets by at the first corner. Much later braking there, and 08 is 3, P-Mac.
Yeah, Lucas Papin, great move there into turn 1 on the brakes. And you mentioned it in the race yesterday, Johnny. These Alpine A110 Cup cars, they have stiffer suspension than the road car, but they still have that real pitch on the brakes. You see the car going hard on the brakes, and the nose pointing forward and dipping forward, and that braking zone into turn 1 is so deep there for these cars, and really makes for some exciting racing because there's a long braking zone, good opportunity to get an overtaking move done. So Lucas Papin now getting into his groove. He was on the he was in that podium fight yesterday, and he's up into 4th now. There is a bit of a gap, a couple of seconds gap back to, in fact, 4.4 seconds gap back to the from 3rd to 4th. So Papin's got real work to do. 16 minutes to go if he wants to get onto the podium. Meanwhile, Charles Roussanne at the front of the field, 2.4 seconds to the good.
Somebody else to keep our eye on will be Romain Monti, who is on the boot lid of Gadwa now in the number 10 car, but he's setting green sector time, so he's best of the race. And from a long way back, there's going to be a charge up the inside at turn 9, and that is from Matteo Nomblo in number 128. So Gosea Redes there being caught napping a touch. She maybe wanted to take another glance into the mirrors before braking into turn 9, but couldn't shut the door in time, and therefore she'll drop to 12th position. Matteo up to 11th.
Still 15 minutes left on the clock. Personal best then for Lucas Papin, 0.2 of a second quicker than Geraci in 3rd, but he's still got 4.5 seconds to find. Meanwhile, big battle on for the challenger lead as Bossy goes very defensive on the run down the hill to turn 1, but the number 44 of Alexandre Godois tries to go around the outside, but no, Bossy covers the line well as they sweep up through turn 2 and then into turn 3. The never-ending right-hander there as Gadwa all over the rear bumper then of Bossy as they come up towards Repsol. Is Bossy able to keep Gadwa at bay here? Yes, just puts that red and black Alpine in exactly the right position, and Gadwa is going to have to think of another way.
On that last lap completed, personal best times coming from Lucas Papin in 4th, but also Alexandre Gadwa, Romain Monti, Florian Caruble. They're all going faster than they've managed to this point. We've had 10 minutes of this race, but even though they appear to be nose to tail most of the way around, they are still finding a little bit of time. I suppose just keeping to the track will benefit you, and Gadwa's been struggling with that over the last few laps, mainly because he's often had a car up his inside through turns 6, 7 and 8, and Gadwa wanting to stay as close to Thibaut Bossy as possible. That's made easier now that Lucas Papin has wriggled free to make it a top 4 full of junior category cars. Then the two challengers, Bossy and Gadwa, who were right at it for most of yesterday's race. New leader, or certainly for me, before I've actually spotted it, it's Frédéric de Brabant in the gentleman category, so that means some difficulties for Philippe Bourgeois, more than difficulties. He's actually in the pit road, so that car might be even a retirement car, number 9, which has left Frédéric de Brabant and Laurent Richard as the top 2, separated by a 1/10.5. That'll do nicely.
And for Frédéric de Brabant, really important for him to get some points back on the board. He came into this round leading the championship, finished third yesterday in the gentleman category, so ideal start to the day here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for Frédéric de Brabant in the gentleman category. 13 minutes left on the clock. It's another personal best for Lucas Papa, actually quicker than our race leader by just a smidgen. He's pulling the gap down to Enzo Garacci in third, but it's still at 4 seconds. He is taking time consistently, just not enough to roll that gap down. He'll maybe need a mistake from Garacci to try and get on the podium for Papa, but he's trying, he's thrown everything at it.
Meanwhile, Charles Roussanne seems incapable of putting a foot wrong this weekend, and in fact for a lot of the races leading into this meeting in Barcelona. He'd had a faultless run for the last 3 races prior to this visit to Catalunya, and it's been 2 pole positions. He got yesterday's fastest lap and the win, and on course for similar today. Although now that Leo José has no distraction from behind, José is trying to up the pace. He's marginally faster through the second sector, but there was a big win in sector 1, 4/10 hauled back for José. So maybe this isn't finished yet with 12 minutes still on the clock. Charles Roussanne, though, seems very capable of managing a race. So if he needs a bit more pace, he can probably find it if José gets a little too close for comfort. 41 is Anthony Fournier, who was duking it out for second and third for much of yesterday. He slipped back to 4th in the gentleman category, that is, and trying to force a mistake from Alain Jacono in number 77.
So another personal best from Lucas Papa in 4th, 152.166, again quicker than your leader. And your leader Charles Roussanne is actually, I think, just starting to fade a little bit, or is he managing it? I don't know. 152.4 for our leader, 151.9 for the chasing Leo José in second. So the gap now, John, is down to 1.6 seconds, and it's coming down. It's another 2/10 in sector 1. So has Roussanne, has he taken a bit out the tyre early, because he set the best lap of the race, a 151.5 on lap 3. We're now on lap 7, so is it that he's maybe just running out of grip a little bit, possibly because José is pulling that time down?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting gap to watch. As I said, 4/10 in one sector on the previous lap. José's back for his second season in the Alpine ELF Europa Cup, whereas Roussanne is in season number 1. And often they say about racing championships, you can allow yourself 1 year to learn as long as you win it in year 2. Well, Roussanne's trying to skip that first year and get all the winning done so that he can maybe move on up the Alpine/Renault ladder or to other echelons of motor racing, and going about it the right way. But he doesn't necessarily have the experience that the chaser does. Matteo Nomblo battling now with Clément Berly, and in fact has got the place. So Nomblo managed to overtake Gosaya Redest at the same corner. That was probably 2 laps ago, and then has spent the rest of the time reeling in Berly in car number 46, and gets another tidy overtake done in front of that brand new grandstand at turn 9.
Yeah, Matteo Nomblo up into the top 10 then, and just immediately pulling away from car 46 Clément Berly in the challenger category. Still the battle for the lead in challenger category, though, because it's Thibaut Bossy having to go defensive on the inside. Here comes Gadwa wiggling and back and forth and all up and down on the lock stops, runs wide. Now you cannot take a place here. This is at turn 1 and 2. Gadwa is going to have to give best. I think he's just trying not to take the position but loses little time. You've got to be careful there. Bossy will hold on to this position for now, but as they rush up the hill towards Repsol, Gadwa's going to try. He goes to the inside, jinks to the outside. Thibaut Bossy says, no, you don't. You're going to have to think of a better way than that to take this lead position in class. They're 5th and 6th overall. 5th and 6th overall, but this is for the lead in the challenger category for those from the age of 22 to 45. Massive lock-stop to lock-stop moment on the brakes there, Johnny, and can't quite make the corner.
It's often funny to watch the rejoin speed coming off that escape road. The idea of that escape road is to make sure that you don't suddenly barge back on at turn 2 and clean somebody out. So it makes the rejoin safer, but it makes the rejoin faster as well. And there was definitely an opportunity for Gadwa to get up the inside of Bossy into the Repsol as you described, purely because he'd taken to the escape road at turn 1. It didn't happen in the end, and he will say, well, that was nothing to do with my advantage at turns 1 and 2. I made that through 3 and 4, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, the red and black car stays in front and in 5th position, so still leading the Challenger category. Right in behind and second in Challenger is Gadwa, and then you've got Romain Monti in the number 10 car, together with Enzo Carvalho in the 72. All but going wide is, now that is in the 41 car, so Antonio Fournier now we're dealing with in the gentleman category, who's been battling with Alain Jacono for a few laps now. Jacono staying in front, no, slipping a place, in fact, to Fournier, as again, the Challenger leaders arrive into the first corner, door handle to door handle. Gadwa sticks to the racetrack this time, and this will surely give him the better opportunity to slingshot into Repsol corner at turn 4.
Big slide again coming out of turn 3 from Alexandre Gadwa. Thibaut Bossy keeping the racing line. Here comes Gadwa. He's going to take his opportunity. Shoves it up the inside. Oh, surely they're going to touch. I think they do a little bit into Repsol, the right-hander. Slide again from Gadwa as he asks for the power from that 300 horsepower engine. Then on the brakes hard for the very tight turn 5. And Bossy in the red and black machine has the inside line, but Gadwa is going to tough it out on the outside. They bang wheels. Front left of Gadwa's car to the rear right of Bossy as they come down the hill hard on the brakes for turn 7, and Gadwa is not giving it up, and Bossy's going to show him the gravel. Whoa, massive moment there for Gadwa, who loses it, and then it's the number 10 of Romain Monti. He's going to try and go around the outside into turn 9. And he's got it done.
Yeah, he has. He's got ahead of Gadwa. I thought he was going to take Bossy in the same manoeuvre. Romain Monti just much more calm and collected, although now here comes the Carvalho car, the white and black with the yellow doors, and the 44 was very slow there because he had to check up because of Monti. What I was going to say was that this driving style of Alexandre Gadwa is time limited because the tyres are not going to take this amount of punishment, particularly because he's been through the gravel about 3 or 4 times as well. Another fully sideways moment, and that was Monti's opportunity in the 10 to go to the high side on the approach to turn 9 and actually made it stick. I reckon in the distance, Monti is still just ahead of Gadwa, yes, but Gadwa now has glued to his rear bumper Enzo Carvalho and Florian Carouble. They're going to all span out Formula Ford style into the first corner. In the best position still is Thibaut Bossy. There was a nibble there on the rear of Monti's car, and that's really unstable now as a result. So Gadwa wanting Monti out of the way so that he can attack again to the red and black that leads the Challenger class.
Monti might have played this one really clever, just watching the leading pair in Challenger knocking lumps out of each other. And here comes Monti. No, Bossy just shuts the door as they come through the turn 4 of Repsol. But fantastic action here as well. Gadwa, I think he's well, he's certainly channeling the Alpine rally heritage. I would say he's the Gerard Larousse of the or maybe even the Francois Delacour of this this championship. Fully sideways, full action. Maybe not necessarily the quickest way around, but hugely entertaining.
But as I said, from a tyre wear perspective, it is not going to glean good results, and that's what I fear about Gadwa. It was all out for a couple of laps in an attempt to get ahead of Thibaut Bossy, and now that hasn't worked. Is he going to be a sitting duck for these next positions? It won't affect his Challenger spot, even if he allows Enzo Carvalho through. The worry is Florian Carouble, who's the next car in behind, number 2, because if Carouble can get ahead, that would put Gadwa back to 3rd in class, and it could be very damaging indeed. So Bossy leading the Challenger division. There are 4 junior cars up ahead of them, remember, on the road, but the gaps are too big right now for any positional changes to happen. Keeping my eye, though, on Leo Jousset, who's now only 1.2 seconds away from our overall and junior class leader, Charles Roussanne. So far from decided, considering Roussanne had about 2.5 seconds in his back pocket. It has been halved now to the chasing Leo Jousset. No chance for Monti to get down the inside of Bossi into the first corner as these 5 continue to fight, but they're just easing things back maybe for half a lap before pushing again for the final 3 minutes plus the extra lap we'll get.
Thibaut Bossi has done a super job to hold off every advance, not only from Romain Monti but also Alexandre Godbois, to hold on to that challenger category lead, and fifth overall as well, which is mighty impressive. The junior drivers have very much been the class of the pack all season. They take the top 4 positions right now. Charles Roussanne is he's in a bit of trouble because he came over the line at 1.2 seconds in the lead, so his lead has been trimmed down quite a lot in that number 38 car, and in the first sector he dropped 0.4 of a second to the chasing Leo Jousset, and he's dropped another 0.2 of a second. So by my quick arithmetic, Johnny, the gap at the front of the very front of this motor race is only 0.6 of a second, which isn't a big gap. It
really isn't, as again Thibaut Bossi is all over the painted concrete on the exit of turn 9, but makes that work. The way that the 24-hour race this weekend at Barcelona is going to be policed from a track limits perspective is that the curb counts as the track. So as long as you have one tyre in contact with either the black asphalt or the red and white curbing, then that is okay. And then again, in the race, you'll get probably 3 warnings, but they'll be keeping their eye on track limits within this race as well, not least for Thibaut Bossi, who's feeling the pressure and needing to up the pace perhaps again. Very wide coming out of turn 14 to head back onto the main start-finish straight. Just over 1 kilometre in length, this straight, which drops away as they head into the braking area, which makes it more awkward. Now round the outside, Gadwas, but going to attempt to go on Romain Monti, and because the next corner's a left-hander, that should seal it for the 44. However, they're going to go right next, and Romain Monti therefore is in the right position. Still side by side though. On the high side, Alexandre Gadbois. And don't rule out Enzo Carvalho either in the white car, maybe trying to thread the eye of the needle. This is music to the ears of Thibaut Bossi up ahead, because as 3 cars squabble, this is giving Bossi the benefit in the latter stages of this race. 1 minute and 18 to go, plus an extra lap. Gadbois needing to be careful not to make contact with Romain Monti, again sideways. Excessive tyre wear on the 44. Romain Monti getting much better drive coming out of Seat corner, and therefore into 6, 7 and 8 stays ahead.
Alexandre Gadbois is trying everything, but I think he might have a bit of an issue here after a bit of contact there with Romain Monti for second in the challenger class, but he's just hanging on to third for now at the front of the field. It is, well, it's game on. It is, you don't need a timing screen. It's just 2 car lengths really between Charles Roussanne and Leo Jousset. Has he played this one perfectly? Has he got a little bit more life left in the tyres? They go over the line. It's going to be 2 laps to go here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Fantastic stuff at the front. Is Charles Roussanne, is he going to be better this time after being dominant yesterday? Here he's under pressure, Johnny.
Big time. And to the outside, Leo Jousset tries to leave his braking as late as he can and almost loses the car then because he's got so much speed mid-corner at turn 1. The rear trying to overtake the front. 13 laps completed. This will be lap 14. We managed 15 yesterday. Again, more movement from the chasing car, if anything. And Charles Roussanne in only his first season of the Alpine ELF Europa Cup, whereas Jousset has the experience of racing all of last year as well, forcing the second place car out wide and out onto the grass and to the curbing, and it's going to be nip and tuck into Seat corner as well. The 2 cars still nose to tail as they head through that first sector, and Roussanne by a half a car length pretty much hanging on to it from Leo Jousset, but he's going to have to complete this lap and do one more, just less than 3 miles. And Jousset spotting this opportunity to try and claw some championship points back again.
This is so important for Leo Jousset. Came into this round second in the championship, 25 points behind. That gap was increased yesterday, but this is so important, so important. So in the challenger category, the battling over second position, Alexandre Godbois was in second, but then Romain Monti was right on his corner quarter panel there, but Godbois just managed to hold him off going into turn one a couple of moments ago. So on to the final lap they will go then. Our two leaders, Charles Roussanne trying to hold off Leo Jusset. Jusset has run him down. The gap was up to nearly 3 seconds at one point, and Jusset has just chipped away at it, particularly in the second half of the race. Last lap shootout here in Barcelona for the Alpine ELF Europa Cup.
Jusset did incredibly well to drop everybody else. That was the hassle yesterday, really, which prevented him from lighting this fight to the race leader. But he's maybe had a bit of a think about what to do and how to solve the puzzle in day 2 of the Alpine ELF Europa Cup races. No races tomorrow. They're all confined within Friday and Saturday because we have a 24-hour race starting at midday this afternoon. So nose to tail between the overall leaders and for the junior category. It's only 0.8 between Thibaut Bossy and Alexandre Godbois, who has now got ahead of Romain Monti, at least through the splits. Let's try and confirm that for you. Well, that was certainly the case at the end of the 14th lap as they headed across the line. So Godbois, again, has line of sight to Bossy. And in the gentleman category, it's only 0.9 of a second between Frédéric de Brabant and Laurent Richard. So of the 3 major divisions within this race, nip and tuck, less than a second separate each of the leaders and second place cars. We're quite rightly focusing on the overall lead because Charles Roussanne defending mightily, but much more pressure from Leo Jusset today, Saturday, rather than Friday's race.
So around La Cacha for the final time then. Has Roussanne done enough? There's not many overtaking opportunities left, but think back to 2009, Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi went up the inside. That was on a motorbike though. Can you do the same in an Alpine A110 as they come around the penultimate corner? Has Roussanne done enough to hold off this late charge?
Alpines are almost as narrow as a motorcycle, but I don't think Jusset's going to have quite the time, the number of corners he requires to get ahead. It's a really tight finish in the end, and Charles Roussanne will know much more that he's been in a motor race today compared to yesterday's competition that he won by about 4 seconds. Roussanne from Jusset is the order though, and it's a quarter of a second at the line ahead of Enzo Garacci, who'll complete the podium. Lucas Papin there's a spin for Monti at the late stages for Romain Monti, who for a long time was running right with those challengers, and was that contact with Carvalho forcing him into a spin, the number 72 car. There's definitely damage on the front of the Carvalho car as he comes out of turn number 13. So sadly an untidy finish within the challengers. I'm trying to work out whether Garacci got Papin at the line as well. We're not shown positional changes, but the checkered flag would go in the favour of Garacci to complete the podium.
Garacci had that third position all the way through the race, but Papin was closing him down all the time, and Papin closed, that was a 4-second gap at the halfway point. He closed him all the way down, nearly got him. A couple more laps he could well have done, but Charles Roussanne, could you say, I mean, very well managed clearly because he's taken the checkered flag first, but he was really put under the cosh there by Leo Jusset. Yesterday was very much a textbook drive out in front, a Friday evening cruise, but not so here. He had to really sing for his supper there.
Thibaut Bossy by 0.3 of a second over Alexandre Godbois, so about the same that Roussanne won the race by from Leo Jusset, and it was not quite as tight in the gentleman division in the end. The final lap for Laurent Richard was not as strong as he managed to perform earlier on in the piece, so 1.8 seconds the difference between the gentleman winner, who is Frédéric de Brabant, and Laurent Richard in second. Anthony Fournier will complete the gentleman podium. There's Leo Jusset in 0-4 then, giving it absolutely his all, but it wasn't quite enough. He'd lost too much time perhaps in the early stages, and then maybe didn't have the tyre or just the opportunity to get ahead. One thing that Charles Roussanne has grappled with both hands is the ability to defend in this category where necessary as well. And yes, he's only in his first season of the Alpine ELF Europa Cup, and in fact first meaningful season of motorsport full stop. He's learning very swiftly indeed. Began the year with a race win, then was off the top step of the podium for the next 2 races, but since then he's been unheaded. That is 5 wins on the bounce now.
Quite remarkable stuff from Charles Roussanne. But there, you know, he really had to work for it. Leo Jousset put him under so much pressure in those last couple of laps, but answered it very, very well. And certainly the most entertaining driver of the race, Alexandre Godbois, in second in the Challenger, had that Alpine at all kinds of angles to try and take over that Challenger. He couldn't quite get it done, but super exciting. I wonder if the road car has that sort of pit limiter light flashing button on it, Johnny. Imagine that, driving down the high street with the cruise control at 30 miles an hour and the front lights are flashing away.
Just as you pull into your drive.
I'd like to think that. So
to annoy your neighbours late
at night. Pit limiter on.
Yeah. I would like to think that where possible the road car adopts as much of the race car as they can. The start of this race, it was a 35-point lead in the championship for Roussanne, who's won again today over Jousset, so it'll be extended again by at least 5 points. Need to work out who's got the fastest lap within this race as well, but surely Roussanne is going to be there or thereabouts. 151.5. Nobody went faster than that, did they?
No.
Jousset was close, but it'll be the point to Roussanne for that, a point for the pole position, and the full 20 for the win in the championship as well. And step by step, getting closer to a title at the end of the year. So there's 2 races at Le Castellet after this, and they will complete their season in Italy at the end of the year. Some wonderful circuits that they get to visit through the course of 2024. That tends to always be the case with this championship. That's why it's seen as such a valuable place to go motor racing. So let's give you the results before the drivers are summoned to the podium in just a tick. It's another win for Charles Roussanne, but a much tighter affair than the first race here in Barcelona this weekend. A smidge over a quarter of a second for Roussanne over Leo Jousset. And then a bigger gap back to Enzo Garacci in third position for CTCJ. And then it's the Schumacher CLRT crew for Lucas Papat. Thibaut Bossy for Aero Racing is the winner in the Challenger division ahead of Alexandre Gadouin. And then Enzo Carvalho, who was pressurising from that 7th position, another junior car, but couldn't get ahead of either of the 2 challengers that finished in front. Florian Caruble and Clement Burley, 8th and 9th, ahead of Matteo Nomblo, Gosea Redest and Romain Monti. After that late contact and spin, dropped him down to 12th position. Pierre-Laurent Figuer in 13th position ahead of Frédéric de Brabant, who was the winner in the gentleman category. Philippe Bourgeois will not get any points at all because he was an early retirement, yesterday's gentleman winner. Laurent Richard will finish 2nd in the gentleman class ahead of Anthony Fournier and Alain Jacono. And Anthony and Alain had a good fight. Frank Roussel will complete the gentleman division. We had 2 retirements yesterday. I don't think we had any in the Alpines. And Sami Dari, sadly, his car cut out early on in the piece, and Philippe Bourgeois pitting as well. So as mentioned, we've got 4 more races to go, but a chance to reflect on the last 25 minutes plus the lap for the Alpine ELF Europa Cup. Well done again to Charles Roussanne, who is a race winner for the 2nd day running in the Alpine ELF Europa Cup. There are 4 more races to go, and the next racing weekend, the penultimate racing weekend of 2024, will happen in 3 weeks' time in Le Castellet, Circuit Paul Ricard. over the 4th, 5th and 6th of October, so the first weekend of October, which will give us 2 races, rounds 9 and 10. We cannot wait for that, and indeed the finale of the championship, which will take place at the Temple of Speed in Monza just 2 weeks after that, the 19th and 20th of October, by which point there will be champions crowned in the gentleman division, the challengers, and most importantly the junior category as well. Thank you, PMAC, for your company. You're going to stick around, in fact, for Clio's.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to the Renault Clio Cup with Joe Bradley. 51. That's value for money.
Well, we'll join you for that, no doubt. But for the Alpine ELF Europa Cup, it's bye-bye for now.
Peut-être qu'un jour, il y aura des transports en commun absolument partout. Peut-être qu'un jour, on pourra se téléporter en vacances ou ramener ses enfants de l'école en drone. Peut-être qu'un jour, on pourra tous travailler à distance. Peut-être qu'un jour, on n'aura plus besoin de sa voiture. Mais aujourd'hui, pour des millions de Français, elle est essentielle. Alors pour la rendre plus simple, économique et solidaire, on a créé Roule. Roule, le club automobile ouvert à tous.